Now, as far as the waveform goes, the first thing you're going to do is you start over here, and this is how I'm going to collect the data. And then the data that I'm going to collect is my data set 1. It's for its first time. The first thing I can do is I can add or remove a process. Processing is massaging the raw data before you test. So if I edit this, what I can do is I can do a number of things. I can do a bandpass filter, a clipper, a derivative, an FFT, high pass filter, smoothers. I can do none. I can remove DC. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. So this is going to take 10 points and smooth it into 1 point. So it's really averaging. Okay, hit back. And so the first thing you're going to do is add your processes. And you can do multiple processes. Smooth it again, extract something. And then you're going to go down to features. And features are something that I'm going to remove some features here. I'm going to go here and remove this feature, or add feature. Add remove feature. So I'm going to click on this guy and hit remove. Yes, I want to remove it. Click on this guy, hit remove. Yes, I want to remove it. So here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call this my peak force. I can call it whatever I want. That's the name that I type in. And then you've got your spec limits, meaning what is your high and low settings for this spec. The reason that this spec limit is here is because you constantly might be changing it, and that's why they put it first. So my peak force, I'm going to slide this over, and it's going to show your analysis parameters. What do you want to do? So the first thing you can do is you can do the true area, do an envelope, mean, median, min value, max value, RMS, power sum, slope, threshold value, you name it, it's here. So there you can do a lot of different things. I'm going to just grab a peak, and I'm going to say I want my peak value, which is right here. And I'm going to copy it, that peak value, into register 1. Okay? So this is your analysis parameters, and then you have your analysis range, meaning where do I want to look for this? Well, I'm collecting for 2 seconds, so I can say this guy is from 0 to 2. If I needed to remove that, or I can also have a start and stop based on my registers. I could go find a peak and then put that in the register, the peak location, and then use that as a register to carve out the analysis range for the next step. Okay? So I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to add a feature, and this feature is going to be peak location. Peak LOC for location. Enter. My high and low settings, this time I'm going to let's make this negative 100. And if I'm using this to just grab a piece of data to use later, I want to set these high and low limits very, very high so this thing never fails. I don't really care where I find the peak location, but I want to use that in some step. So I go over here and I say, okay, now I'm going to use my peak location, and I'm going to put that in register 2. Okay. Now let's add another one, and this is where I'm going to add feature, and this is going to be math. I'm going to call this math. I've got register 1 and register 2. Now let me take register 1 minus register 2, okay? And I can put that in register 3. I'm going to call this math, and again, I don't really care about my spec limits right now. And I'm going to say, okay, this time, instead of doing my peak value, I'm going to come down to the bottom and say custom math. And if I do custom math and there's more to enter, you'll get an edit button over here. And this edit button is going to be able to do math. So I've got my lock. I'm going to say shift RG shift colon let me see, backspace. It gives you the RG-R01, and you see it's red because it didn't like what I did. So I'm going to say R01 minus RG colon R02. Enter. And you see that turned green, which meant that, hey, this makes sense. And if I did this divided by 5, enter, I can do that. So this tells me that RG1 minus RG2 divided by 5. So I can do custom math, and it likes it because it's green. Okay? So now I've got my custom math, and I can run this. I've also got in this setup, I got the histogram and the trend, which shows me a bell curve or the trend of what's going on. The trend is over time, what is my value doing? The last 100 parts, you know, for each one of these, I'm going up and down, and it'll show you some statistics. Okay, we'll talk about that next.